Hey everyone, today I am talking about Japanese stiltgrass. This is another weed from hell. So Japanese stiltgrass is an annual. So by annual, it is not a perennial. So an annual lives just 1 year. So there are seeds in the ground, they sprout in the spring and they grow all summer and then they die in the fall. But before they die, the Japanese stiltgrass, like other annuals, sets seed. Now, a Japanese stiltgrass is really amazing because each plant can produce thousands of seeds. And in a square meter, there can be as much as 50,000 seeds planted. So this has become a problem in the eastern United States, all the way to Texas. It's invasive. Japanese stiltgrass is like crabgrass. It's an annual. It has very similar problems for your lawns. One of the differences between crabgrass and Japanese stiltgrass is that Japanese stiltgrass will germinate 2 to 3 weeks before crabgrass. So it has early germination, which means when you're putting down the pre-emergent, which I'll talk about later, you have to do it earlier. Another big difference between crabgrass and Japanese stiltgrass is that crabgrass is very hard to pull up. It's very hard to remove even with a cultivator because the roots are very tough, very strong. But Japanese stiltgrass, you can actually remove the plant. The roots are shallow and it comes up very quickly and easily. And so you want to be careful if you compost it if there are seeds in it. But if there are no seeds, you can compost either one, crabgrass or Japanese stiltgrass. So the other main issue with both of them, but especially Japanese stiltgrass, is something called a seed bank or a seed reservoir. So I said before that they are annual. So they set seed and you think, oh, well, all the seed is going to come up the next spring. And that's somewhat true, that most of the seed is going to come up the next spring. But the seed bank, there's going to be lots of seeds that remain for several years, up to 5 or even 7 years. So this idea of a seed bank means that even if you successfully treat it for 1 year and remove it all, it's going to come up for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So you have to have a long-term plan. Now each year you will see less and less, but it is going to be a little bit of a battle with this Japanese stiltgrass. Most of this is Japanese stiltgrass. It's about 1 to 2 feet tall here. Here you see some fescue lawn, and then right behind it you see the Japanese stiltgrass, which has just been cut. And it turns a beige tan color as it's cut and the foliage dies. But you can really see the difference between a green fescue type of grass and this brown, dark tan Japanese stiltgrass. This is Japanese stiltgrass, occasionally cut. This is what it looks like after it's cut. It does not look as good as grass does. It gets a lot of brown areas. It does not look good in the lawn. This is a good example of why you don't want Japanese stiltgrass as your lawn. You can see many of the leaves turn brown or beige after being mowed. And here you see in September, Japanese stiltgrass is going to seed. And even small like this and just being mowed, it is producing seed. So you get a lot of the white seed heads mixed with the foliage, which is not a dark green even at its best, and is now beige and brown and not looking very nice. It looks very ratty. And then you have this white haze of seeds, which are adding to the seed bank for many years to come. So it is definitely not a nice lawn, and it is invasive and can take over your whole lawn. Yeah, you see it does not look very good. Japanese stiltgrass is said to have come into the United States to the state of Tennessee in about 1919. It was used to wrap porcelain from the east, probably Japan, and it has spread all over the eastern United States. Japanese stiltgrass here in Maryland is just pervasive in our forests and our lawns. It's actually a nice looking plant on the walkways and in forests. Looks like a miniature bamboo, and you can identify it by a midrib that is shiny. But it's become invasive. It's outcompeting native forest undergrowth plants. The deer, of course, won't eat it. They'll eat everything else, but they won't eat Japanese stiltgrass. There are reports of a fungal infection in Maryland that is cutting it back some. I don't know what the long term is going to be for that. But I have a feeling that because it's an annual, it reproduces every year, it is going to be able to adapt to that fungus. And so this is going to be a problem for our lawns, even with that fungus. It's called Japanese stiltgrass, but it's not just endemic to Japan. It's all over the East, I think as far as India. So China, the Koreas, Japan, all over the East. It is a really amazing plant. It's quite a survivor. Sometimes it sets seeds without having to be pollinated, so it has a lot of tricks up its evolutionary sleeve. But it just does not look good in our lawns. Now, if you're not you don't care that much about your lawns, then it's not an issue. It does sort of work as a grass, like crabgrass. But if you're watching this video and you've been watching it till now, you do care about how your lawns look, and it definitely does not look that good. This is also Japanese stiltgrass, 1 to 2 feet tall in fairly deep shade. You can see the midrib, and it basically takes over. It's an annual, but it will set seed, and each year it will set seed, but they won't all come out the next year. The seeds can last in the ground up to 5 years. It sets seed every year and builds up a seed bank, and they will not all germinate the next year. They can last in the ground up to 5 years. Japanese stiltgrass becomes a dominant feature of the understory. It's actually good looking. It looks like a small miniature bamboo, but it's invasive and will basically drown out a lot of the native species. Here you see it's living and competing even with ferns, so it does well in shade. So here would be an example of that. You see further up on the stem, it has sent down shoots which root into the ground. So it creates these extra stilts. It looks like the main root was on the left. It looks like the main root was on the left, and the 3 or 4 other stems going down to roots are the stilts. Hence the name Japanese stiltgrass. And you can see that same pattern. Once it gets larger, it sends a lot of these extra stilts. Now, as you see, you can pull it up and you do take out most of the roots. So you can control it by hand weeding if you have a small area. So this is the next question. Should I remove Japanese stiltgrass? First of all, if you don't remove it, it is probably going to outcompete your cultivated grasses. It is really an amazing grower. I've seen it growing in almost complete shade with moss. And so it grows in shade. It likes moist, shady areas, but it also grows in full sun. So it is going to take over your lawn to a large extent. A lot of lawns in the mid-Atlantic become 30 to 40% Japanese stiltgrass, and if you don't try to maintain your lawn, you're going to get a lawn that's Japanese stiltgrass, crabgrass, and creeping Charlie. So, well, what's the problem with that? The problem with crabgrass and with Japanese stiltgrass is that it does not green up early in the spring. It waits for the seeds to germinate in end of March, April. So your lawn is not going to be greening up early. Plus the fact that if you have a lot of it, you don't have a lot of your fescue or other cultivated grass that you want. So your lawn is not going to have that rich green look in March, April, and May. For the 2 reasons. It's the Japanese stiltgrass hasn't germinated yet, and it has already outcompeted and killed some of the grass seed that you planted a few years ago hoping for a great lawn. So that is one of the reasons in the spring. Another reason, during the mowing season, Japanese stiltgrass browns when you cut it for about maybe 1/3 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch. So after you cut it, it browns, but it survives. It's not going to die. Mowing is not going to kill it. But your regular grass is only going to get yellow tips or brown tips, maybe 1/16 of an inch. So you can really tell after Japanese stiltgrass has been mowed, it browns. But then it comes right back and grows. Mowing will not control it because it will still set seeds, even if you mow it. It will only be 3 inches high, but it will set seeds and it will keep coming back year after year. Then in the fall, you're going to have frosts, and that will kill the Japanese stiltgrass, but it's already set seeds, so that's not a problem for it. But then your lawn is going to be brown in October, instead of looking really nice with beautiful green grass, because our cultivated grasses are cool season grasses. So that's the reason. Those are some of the reasons why you want to remove Japanese stiltgrass. It outcompetes your grass. It doesn't look good in the spring, it doesn't look good in the summer, and it doesn't look good in the fall. So now we'll talk about how to remove it. So let's talk about how we remove this weed from hell, Japanese stiltgrass. Okay, so the good news is that it's easy to pull. If you have a small to medium size lawn, you can actually pull it out, and you don't have to pull it out in the spring. You can do some in the spring, in the summer, in the fall before it sets seed. It does come up easily. However, it By the time you notice it's in your lawn, you probably have a lot of it. And you're going to have to pull it, as I said, every year for several years because of the seed bank or the seed reservoir. But hand pulling is effective, and if you get it before it sets seed, you can use it as compost. The other main way to get rid of it is in the spring putting down pre-emergent. A pre-emergent will kill the plants as they germinate. So as the seeds germinate, you need to have that pre-emergent down there. So you spray it over where it grows, and it kills the little seedlings, but not any of the established plants or of your established grasses. But anything that is growing by seed will die. So if you put down grass seed, it will kill that too. Nevertheless, this is very effective. Pre-emergent is very effective for crabgrass and Japanese stiltgrass. So if you have been doing this for crabgrass, it will also work for Japanese stiltgrass. So you kill two birds with one stone. It's very effective. I'm in the mid-Atlantic, so I put down my first one in mid-March to end of March when the forsythia are blooming, and then I put a second application of pre-emergent down 6 weeks, 5, 6, 7 weeks later. When you put the pre-emergent down, you normally want to do it before about a ½ inch or more of rain, or you could water it in with a sprinkler. I have found that pre-emergent prodiamine works really great. It is really effective at preventing the Japanese stiltgrass and crabgrass from coming up. But the thing I will tell you is you may reach a point where you don't have any coming up, and you skip a year, and then it will come up because of the seed bank or seed reservoir that I talked about earlier. Here is area 1. There's some to the right of the white marker, and then that's very thick over here on the left. And it even goes back further there. This is area 2, and it goes 8 feet to the left, 8 to 10 feet to the right, all the way around. So this area is about 10 by 15 feet, and I am looking north. And this is area 3 to the left, about 6 to 7 feet to the right, about 8 feet to 10 feet. So right in the middle there's not much. So we're going to see what Fenoxaprop does, acclaim. We're going to see what acclaim does, also known as Fenoxaprop. This is area 1 after 2 applications of acclaim or Fenoxaprop. And you can see that it did work. It did kill the Japanese stiltgrass for the most part. I still see some green leaves, but it definitely seriously set it back, if not killed it. So if you have a large lawn, more than ½ an acre, and you have a lot of this, this will definitely help you. However, there probably still are seeds in the soil from the seed bank that lasts 5 years. So you probably also need to use a pre-emergent in the spring. Some gardeners recommend 2 applications, and that will kill the little seedlings as they try to root. but it won't hurt your grass. But here, this is experiment. This is spot number 1, and after one application it was really set back. I did another one just to really kill it off, but I think even one application worked to kill stiltgrass. This is area number 2, and the Japanese stiltgrass is seriously set back. It is not flowering, sending up seed heads. So a claim or Fenoxaprop does seem to work. This is area number 3, and it has seriously set the Japanese stilt back, the Japanese stiltgrass back quite a bit. But here's some areas where it looks like it did not take. Maybe I didn't spray it enough. But here in area 3 it did seem to work as well. For the most part, I don't see any seed heads coming up. So it did kill it.